Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is 5 warnings that Trump should know. See, God speaks to his prophets, his holy servants, and he gives them warnings. But the problem is, those warnings are not reaching the people that need to have them. How do I say this? I pray that somehow President Trump would see this program. Somehow that he would call and say, okay, Stan, what are the prophets saying? What are the things that I need to know so that I don't make a big mistake and destroy this nation? You mean one man, president, can make one decision and destroy this nation? Yeah, there's actually a couple of them, and I'm going to cover them today. And I pray that somehow these warnings, if not through this program or through this ministry, somehow these warnings reach President Trump because he needs to know them. Now, I happen to know that there's at least one person in government that actually follows this program. And so if you are in the government, and if you can possibly get this to President Trump, please do so. I pray somehow he gets these warnings. In other words, if President Trump were to call me and say, Stan, quickly, in as little words as possible, tell me what it is that the prophets have heard that God has spoken about this nation. What are the 5 things? Just 5. What are the 5 things that I need to know most, in the order that I need to know them? I would say this is those 5, and this is the order which I think it is most important that you know them. Okay, first of all, Deuteronomy 19:15 says, at the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let a thing be established. In other words, if one person says they hear from God, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. If 2 people say the same thing, that is something we should listen to. If 3 people say the same thing, we better listen to it. In other words, if one person has a dream, toss it out. If 2 people, especially if they don't even know each other, if they have the same dream, the same word, even it may be years apart, but if it's the same information, the same warning, we should listen. Now, based upon that, I'm going to show you things that I have multiple witnesses of. And I can tell you about it. Okay. First thing I'm going to say is don't anger the Russians. You're in negotiations right now between Russia and Ukraine. I think Ukraine is the bad guys. I'm not saying that the Russians are exactly the good guys, but we know that the Russians are the origin of the Nazi, which then went over to Switzerland, went over to Germany, and that's who our boys were fighting in World War II. And so if you're going to make one or the other angry, make Ukraine angry. Don't make the Russians angry. Why? Because the Russians head the alliance that is going to eventually, according to Dmitry Duduman and others in Revelation 18, be the alliance of nations that will attack and destroy America in 1 hour. Yeah, well, how do you know that? I'm so glad you asked. Now, I'm about to read this, but before I read it, let me explain. I met Dmitry Duduman in February of 1988. I wrote him a letter and asked him to come and speak at the Full Gospel Businessmen in Lawrence, Kansas, where I was living at the time. He wrote back and said he'd come for 2 weeks. I thought, 2 weeks? What are we going to do with this guy for 2 weeks? But he came. And by the time he got here, with very little effort on my part, I might add, his schedule was booked. He spoke like 7 or 8 churches, a TV station, 6 or 8 radio stations. He later said it was the busiest 2 weeks of his ministry. I took him all over and I let him tell his story. His story, in the quick measure, is this. He was a Romanian pastor that smuggled Bibles into Romania and Russia for some 30 years. They couldn't catch him, so they arrested him anyway. They put him through 5 months of torture, trying to get him to tell how he smuggled the Bibles through. When he wouldn't tell them, finally, they put him on the electric chair, turned the electricity all the way up. As he was feeling the electricity go through his body, he thought he was going to die. But at about that time, the whole room lit up with white light. Out of the light, the angel Gabriel appeared. The angel Gabriel said, Dmitri, don't worry, you're not going to die. You're going to America to give them a warning from God. Plead the blood of Jesus. So he started saying, Sinjalulu Isus, which is Romanian for the blood of Jesus. He said he woke up on the floor, pouring water on him and slapping him around. They couldn't kill him. The next day, they put him back on the electric chair twice. Could not kill him. Then, now we're skipping, 4 months later, he had still not totally healed up from all the beatings and everything. But in the middle of the night, he heard a voice, Dmitri, jump up, run outside. It was an angel. Said, Dmitri, can you walk? Yes. Dmitri, you hurt any place? No. Healed him up. He said, now, you're going to America to give them a warning from God. So that you know that I'm truly the angel of God, I'm going to tell you the year, month, day, and hour you will be exiled to America. July 22nd, 1984, 10 o'clock in the morning, it came to pass. When he arrived in America, August 3rd, 1984, the angel came to him again. He took and showed him California, Las Vegas, New York, and Florida. He said, you see what I've shown you? This is Sodom and Gomorrah. In one day it will burn. He said, how will it burn? America's so powerful. Now, here's the point. He said, the fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America, started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and 2 other countries will attack and defeat America in 1 hour, so great riches will come to naught. Now, in my opinion, I think this is the way it's going to play out. The fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America where the Trump administration is overthrown. How it will happen is some of the people will start fighting against the Trump administration, and the Trump administration is going to be busy with internal problems. You got some 20 million problems that the Biden administration purposely brought over the border at the permission of God. And many of those people are going to start fighting against what you're doing, trying to heal America. And when you're busy fighting all of those internal problems, because the internal problems are the other side of America, in other words, we've got an internal revolution, half of America doesn't want to be a Christian nation, and the other half does. But the bigger half, the evil people, are fighting harder. So in the middle of that turmoil, then Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, and 2 other countries attack and defeat us in 1 hour. You need to know that. Why? Second thing is, don't split Israel. Whatever happens, do not split Israel. I have 12 prophecies, I'm about to cover some of them, which all agree that if America splits Israel, God will split America. You see, Israel doesn't belong to Israel. It doesn't belong to the children of Israel. It's God's land. He wrote his name on it in the city of Jerusalem. That takes a long time to explain. It's God's land. Not Israel's land, it is God's land. He allows Israel to live on it. And if you split God's land, he's going to split our land. How do you know that? Well, again, in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let a thing be established. Now, this is a summary of other prophecies, which many of them I'm not covering today, but you should know that I have 30 prophecies that say that there's going to be suitcase nukes go off in America, and it's going to be one of the primary things that destroys this nation. But the one I want you to look at today is the thing in the second list, 17 meteor, tsunami, earthquake. And I'm about to cover that. If you'll also look, there's 17 on a food shortage, $11 will fall, 8 massive arrests, and 7 surprise Russian nuclear attack. Yes, we know about your plan to arrest many, many thousands of people, hopefully about 1 million really bad guys. Now, I want to call your attention to number 2, 17. I have 17 prophecies that say a meteor will hit, causing a tsunami and an earthquake, and just devastate America. But that's an if. It doesn't have to happen. Matter of fact, I might add, most of these prophecies don't have to happen if America will pray if America will stop sinning, repent, and turn to Jesus. Now, let me show you some of the ways we know that there's going to be a big earthquake. I'm not reading all of it, only part of it. 2023, Brandon Biggs. Who's Brandon Biggs? This is the guy that I saw. He talked about seeing a vision of you, Donald Trump, being shot in the right ear. Shot, that's what he said. Hits the right ear, saw blood on the side of your face 3 months before you were hit with a bullet. He said, the Lord showed me a massive earthquake hit the New Madrid Fault in America. It was the largest earthquake in human history. From the Mississippi River, it split all the way down to New Orleans. All the bridges on the Mississippi River collapsed. It was total devastation. Now, we invited a fellow by the name of Ephraim Rodriguez, a prophet out of Puerto Rico, to come and speak to Prophecy Club. He had seen a vision of a large meteor hitting near Puerto Rico, a little island called Mona Island just west of Puerto Rico. He said it caused a tsunami 1,000 foot tall at Puerto Rico, but where it hit was an earthquake fault. And that shock wave sent a tsunami up the eastern seaboard, 400 foot high, going inland from 20 to 100 miles inland, devastating the eastern coast. But where it hit was an earthquake fault running up the Mississippi River Valley to the Great Lakes, and that it would open up the Great Lakes all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. And when it hits the East Coast, it'll be from 200 to 400 foot high, 20 to 100 miles inland, and it will cause much of the West Coast from California to Alaska to fall into the ocean. The problem is, he's not the only one that saw that. So we're inviting this guy to come in. So I thought, well, if this is really God, if it's really true, then again, it's going to be in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. There will be some other people specifically see a meteor hit near Puerto Rico, a tsunami up the eastern seaboard. They will have seen this. So I looked up, and I found 6 people that saw that a large meteor hits near Puerto Rico. 5 people saw a tsunami hit the east coast of the United States. 7 people saw America split in 2 pieces. 4 people saw large chunks of California fall into the ocean, but 12 people saw that America split in 2 because she splits Israel. So this is pretty much a drawing of what we're talking about. So try to imagine a meteor that hits near Puerto Rico and that devastates. The East Coast is basically gone. And then when the Great Lakes open up all the way down to the New Orleans, most of the middle of the country is gone. And then from California all the way up into Alaska, large chunks of that fall into the ocean. In other words, this is saying, President Trump, if you're listening, if you can possibly get this message, you are the man. You are in the position that if you do split Israel, maybe you don't bring peace to Israel, fine. Just don't split Israel. Don't force Israel. Now, if it's totally out of our hands, you better make sure it's really totally out of our hands. If they decide to do it, that's their decision. Just make certain that we and none of our people, or none of their people that call themselves Americans, force them to split. Let me show you there's more. Now, I can spend an hour on this. I'm not going to. I'm just going to read a few of them, just a line or two from some of the people that say this. 2010, Pastor Shane warned, the New Madrid Fault in the heartland of America has just had a major earthquake. I heard a booming voice speak from behind me saying, they have divided my land, now I will divide their land. April 2019, Byron Searley, a big fireball will strike the earth very soon. No one will see it coming. A rip in the fabric of space opened and a giant brown rock came tumbling through. It struck the ocean north of Puerto Rico. See that? Okay. And east of South Carolina. 2001, Ann Peterson, I saw 3 fireballs streaking across the globe. One hit the Gulf of America. Another hit the east coast of Florida. And the third is further out in the Atlantic. Yes, they said Gulf of Mexico. I changed it to Gulf of America. 2006, Leslie Johnson, I saw a tsunami heading for the shores of America. I heard in the spirit it's 20 stories tall. That's 200 foot tall. Bob Newman, I saw Florida and all of the East Coast hit with tidal waves caused by several large meteors hitting the Atlantic and the Gulf of America. 2014, Maurice Sklar, I saw a massive earthquake crack off the East Coast Great cities fell into the ocean from Mexico to Alaska. Much of the West Coast just wasn't there. I heard it had disappeared into the Pacific Ocean. 1997, Dan Bowler, the Lord spoke. What you just heard is the platelets of the earth shifting. The big earthquake will split America right down the middle if they split Jerusalem. John Kilpatrick, I saw in a vision of the financial storm. That's, by the way, two people that saw a financial storm, which I believe we're coming into now, partly due to the tariffs. By the way, I support you. I saw a vision of the financial storm just before the New Madrid earthquake. The earthquake will come if America divides Israel by creation of a Palestinian state at the pressure of U.S. policy. Israel belongs to the Lord, and if you divide his land, he will divide your land. 2001, Timothy Snodgrass, God will divide the USA along the New Madrid Fault if the USA divides Israel. I saw America being ripped in half. If America wishes to divide Jerusalem in half, America shall be divided in half. Indian prophet Sundar Selvaraj, the U.S. will turn against Israel and force Israel to split Jerusalem. The angel with a long sword stabbed the center of the map, saying, "You split my land, and now I will split yours." It's 1976, Elaine Durham. America was completely divided by a large body of water and lost part of the both eastern and western shorelines. This might or might not come to pass. That's the good news. According to the choices as a people, in other words, splitting Israel. Augusto Perez, if America splits my city, Jerusalem, I will split the land of America. President Trump, I hope you are getting this and taking this to heed. Number 3, I suggest you start using the FCC to stop the evil media from turning the hearts of patriots against the righteous leadership. They are the people that are stirring up the internal revolution. Well, how do we do that? I'm not exactly certain, but if I were in your position, I would have the FCC start fining them for every lie, which is just about everything they say. Write them a letter and say, from here on out, you can't lie. If you lie, if we catch you in a bold-faced, provable lie, you're going to be hit with a fine. I mean, like in the ballpark of $25,000 per fine, maybe up to $500,000, maybe just pull their license. You can stop them. You do have the authority. You do have the position, and you can stop them from putting forth lies. Number 4, take care to make more friends than enemies with other nations. Yes, use the tariffs to level the playing field. I agree with that. But in the way you do it and in the way you talk must not be in a domination, but in a friendship attitude. As you probably heard, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. And I've quoted the people that have often said that. But just like China, maybe you need to have a talk with Xi and sit down with them as Reagan would. Reagan would be able to get his way, but do it in such a friendly way rather than a muscle way. Same thing with the Russians. Don't make the Russians your enemy. Make the Russians your friend. Matter of fact, talking about Russia again, I would suggest that you lift all sanctions from Russia. Matter of fact, all sanctions from every nation where the dollar is being forced against them, that is forcing them into a BRICS currency, another currency. You want the dollar to remain the currency standard of the world, not the BRICS. Don't force them to do a BRICS currency. And instead go to the Russians and say, I understand you offered us the rare earth minerals that China has cut us off from. We'd love to do business with you. I think you should help the Russians every way you possibly can. Become friends with them. They are the nation that, if we don't turn around, God is going to use them to destroy America. And yes, we can be friends with the Russians. It just takes some work, okay? Number 5, I suggest you shut down the evil deep state. I know that's what you're trying to do, but let me point something more. Shut down the evil deep state, beginning with the Federal Reserve, the IRS, the evil money machine of the devil. Now, this is real complicated. Probably the 12 banking families behind the Federal Reserve probably are the ones that have controlled our financial system since the days of the pyramids. While we can't prove that, that's probably true. And in my opinion, They are the ones that have been controlling our money system at least 300 years back, perhaps even longer back. And this is the way the devil controls us, by controlling our money. And just like the Federal Reserve being able to print our money and then charge us interest for our money, ridiculous. So I know that what you're trying to do is to stop them, I agree, and to totally go around them with a new system. And I understand that there's some big advantages to digital, but there's also some anonymity that needs to stay in place with those using gold and silver coins, just like the Bible and just like the Constitution says is the real medium of exchange. Be careful with the digital. Matter of fact, since I'm talking about that, AI is probably going to be the image of the beast. The image of the beast caused all those that would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So the image of the beast, which is going to be a computer program that gets its way into the internet, and it's kind of like a tick that you can't find, and you can't kill it, and you can't get it out. And AI is going to take over, so the prophecies say, the internet, and it's going to be bad, bad, bad. Well, the same thing is true with the Federal Reserve and with the IRS. This is the devil's money machine. They both started in 1913, and they both, in my opinion, need to be eliminated, need to go around the Federal Reserve and the IRS, in my opinion. I think that if you're ever going to get control of this nation, you got to get those 12 banking families out of control. And I know you know more than I know more than I'm talking about too, but you've got to get them out of control. Okay, so to summarize, the 5 warnings that I suggest you do, that you make certain to heed is: 1, don't anger the Russians. 2, don't split Israel. 3, use the FCC to stop the evil media from turning the hearts of the patriots, and I say parrots, not patriots, parrots, because these are the people, they just repeat what they hear on CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS. They just repeat what they're told, but they don't really understand. They don't have the mental capacity to get into something deep like you understand. But you've got to stop the FCC from stopping all of this evil. They are actually causing the internal revolution. You've got to take the power away. Number 4, take care to make more friends than enemies of other nations. Yes, there's some things that needs to be corrected. The playing field needs to be leveled. I agree. But you got to do it in a friendly way. 5, shut down the evil deep state, beginning with the Federal Reserve and the IRS, their evil money machine. Shut it down. And there's some other things that need to be shut down. But for right now, that's all I'll say. Now, on to the regular Prophecy Club listeners. Yes, if God has blessed you and you can help us, please do. Because ever since about a month before the election, ever since Trump is coming in, he's going to fix everything. And so consequently, our gifts and donations have dropped like a rock. And by the way, I understand that it's happened that way with a lot of other Watchman type ministries. As a matter of fact, I understand those people that offer gold and silver are not so good. Also, the EMP Shield, just everything, because people, Trump's going to fix everything. But I just had lunch with a pastor today. He agrees. I think that we are in the most dangerous territory our nation has ever been in. I think we are closer to civil war, internal revolution. We are closer to our financial system falling apart. I think that Donald Trump is trying to fix things. I do. And I'm on his side. And I think most of the things he's doing are correct. But I also think that most of the things he's doing are sticking a finger in the eye of the devil and making him absolutely furious at us. And I think the devil is fighting harder now than he's ever fought in the entire existence of America. And I think he's determined to pull America down. Like, Benjamin Fulford was told, we rule this planet for thousands of years, we'll destroy it rather than give it up. So that's what they're in the process of doing. They think that they've lost America, so now they're in the process of destroying it. If you think they can't destroy us by an internal revolution, that's what the devil has been destroying with many other nations for thousands of years. I mean, all the way back to Rome, perhaps before that. That's what he does. That is who he is. He destroys nations, and he is in the process of it. And if we don't take some steps to get Jesus on our side, like putting the Bible back in the schools, if we don't do that, then we don't have Jesus fighting for us. So again, that's my suggestions. I suggest you require the King James Bible to be read in all schools from kindergarten through college. Today there's a fight to allow parents to opt out of forcing their children to read books introducing them to lesbianism. Instead, Christians should be pushing to get the Bible back in schools. The evil continue to push Christianity out of everything, and the church or Christians continue to allow them to have victories without a fight. The left fights for Satan. Likewise, Christians should fight for Jesus. Satanists fight for Satan. Christians don't fight for Christianity or for Jesus, in my opinion. So, Mr. Trump, I suggest you call for a return to Christianity. Call for all Americans to pray for America and its return to Christ. Ask Americans to return to ongoing regular church attendance. Concerning the state, America was founded on Christianity, and I would recommend, if you don't want to be a Christian, consider moving to another country that has the religion of your choice. Don't try to make America anything but a Christian nation, said with all kindness. Deport those who attack Jews or Christianity. Make this a Christian nation. Once again, like the angel who spoke to Dmitri said, that America was a Christian nation, but America opened the borders. I'm not talking about just Biden. I'm talking about for the entire existence of America, has let people of other gods in, and instead of resisting those gods, they went after those gods. So God calls America the Mystery Babylon. Mystery, the word Babylon means confusion. We're confused. We're a nation that is confused who is really God, and that's part of the problem. In closing, I'd recommend you call 800-200-GOLD to get yourself some gold and silver. If you have an IRA or 401k, call them and they can help you to get it into a position so that you don't lose it should it be lost in some kind of a paper issue. Also, we have a Bible study every Friday evening, 6:30 to 7:30. Right now we're covering through the book of Revelation. I'm about to start teaching through Revelation 7. As you know, I memorized the book of Revelation, so hopefully I can help you to understand it. When the suitcase nukes go off, if you want your car to start, if you want your computers and your refrigerators and things like that, anything with a computer chip to work, you want to have one of these from EMPShield.com. EMPShield.com. And they have videos up there. It takes about 10 minutes to put on. It's not complicated at all. And if you use the word prophecy, promo code prophecy, you get a $50 discount, and it helps Prophecy Club.